Hi, everyone. My name is Carrie Toth. I am a Spanish teacher in rural Southern Illinois. I teach Spanish 3 and 4 for dual credit. And today I am so lucky to be able to meet with Kaskaskia College, the school whom we partner with, to talk to you a little bit about how we started our program. So I have with me Kelly Henniger, who coordinates everything that we do in our dual credit program. And so Kelly has just graciously agreed to answer some questions for me to help if you're interested in getting a dual credit started at your school. So, one of the things that I really love is that our community college is so attentive to the needs and the desires of their teachers and of our students. And so, super pumped to share with you all. Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
Nice to have you. Thank you for meeting today.
Oh, you're welcome. You are welcome. I'm glad it worked out.
I
It's
am.
graduation tomorrow, so we it's like it's crazy around here. So I
So
know it
it's
has been
even nicer of you to be with us at our recording
no,
today.
no
Um,
worries.
So, Kelly, really what I would like to, we do some, the company that I have somewhere to share, I do some training webinars for teachers on different topics, especially based around the classroom. But lately, I've just had a lot of questions about CELA biliteracy, getting started, and even about dual credit. Like, how do we get into a collaboration with our community college? So, let's say a high school is looking to partner with their community college for a dual credit program. Obviously, this benefits the high school. Like we can see clearly how this benefits our students. But if they're approaching a community college to see about a dual credit partnership, what benefit does that have then to the community college? Like, how do you sell that as a high school teacher wanting to start it?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of things that I would highlight. I mean, from our perspective, I mean, one of the best things is that we love to be in the high school and working with our colleagues at the high school level. I mean, we are all educators and we're all looking to build those partnerships. And so dual credit is a perfect way to do that. And so we learn so much about our students that we share. And that leads really to the second thing. And that's a lot of our students who take dual credit actually decide to come to Casey because of that experience. And so if they can gain a significant number of credits towards a degree or a program at the high school level, then it's a very easy transition for them to come in and finish their program with us. And so that's wonderful.
And
You
I
know,
can speak to that from the parent side. My son did Kaskaskia Credit. I teach in a different building than my son, but we thought he was going to get his associates and his high school diploma at the same time. Now it turned out that they had a little teacher turnover and he missed out on getting, one of the classes he needed. But it was so awesome to have him just bulked up with all this dual credit. And he did some online courses too that I loved having that partnership. I love it in my own classroom, but also as a parent, I love that.
Mhm. Sure, sure. I mean, I think financially too, we do gain as a community college. There's no doubt about that, that we do get reimbursement, from the
Oh, that's
state for
great.
those credit hours. But it is a win-win for both the high
I,
school
I
and the
mean,
community.
that's how I see it too. And I love that. And one of the things I really appreciate about Casey is that you have been so gracious with teachers, allowing them to teach their student via the method that they feel the most comfortable with. I know that sometimes teachers have contacted me and said, our community college is making us use X textbook because this is what they're online. But we were able, I felt so, I don't know, honored for, my knowledge in that we got to sit down with the instructor at Casey and we made a list of goals. Like it doesn't matter how you teach them, but you have to get them to achieve this set of goals. And that was just really, it felt good as a teacher to know that Casey trusts us. Um, do you agree that that's an important part of the collaboration?
I do, and I think back, Carrie, years ago, and I know you were also a dual credit. That's been our dual credit for a very long time. Um, when we started doing, our visits every year. And I feel like that is that relationship that built, again, as a colleague. It's not the high school, isn't doing what we want. It's a collaborative conversation that happens. And we've witnessed that so much in different areas with dual credit. It becomes, we have a dual credit evening. We host our high school faculty as well as our college faculty sit down at a table and they look at the learning outcomes, and yes, there's more than one way to get, to that outcome. And we want the same flexibility for our dual credit teachers as we would our adjuncts or our full-time faculty. And so the learning outcomes are important, and assessing that we're meeting those goals are really what we feel is the most important. So,
Yes, I agree. We've worked together several years to come up with a way to offer ours to people listening. In Illinois, our seal of biliteracy is set at intermediate high, which is a very, very high bar.
mhm.
There are places where seal of biliteracy is set to intermediate mid, but we are at that intermediate high. So they have to basically be performing at a senior and college level while they're still in high school. So when we do have kids that achieve that, Kelly and I have been working together for a few years now. I'm sure she's probably tired of all my emails, like trying to figure out how can we honor those students who we give 8 semester hours dual credit for Spanish 3 and 4 and count it as 101 and 102. But like how those kids that are at that intermediate high level, we wanted to be able to give them credit for now 203. And so as a high school and community college pair, what kinds of things
Mhm.
did you have to consider in adding? Now we're giving 4 extra hours. What do you have to consider as you look at doing that with a seal of biliteracy?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Carrie, you're right. I mean, we've been talking about this for a very long time. And I think when we first entertained the idea, it was more about kind of the level of the student in high school, and really juniors and seniors is really the focus of dual credit, kind of, that level. But the more that I've worked with you, and this is what I would again encourage anyone interested, is to have conversations,
Yes.
because until Carrie and I sat down, you and I sat down and talked about just what the test is that is involved, that you are, working with your students on, and what that literally means and level wise. I was ignorant of that, and I feel like that is really, again, conversations have to occur to get to that level. And I think we've been creative, right? We've been
Yeah.
trying to work within the policy of the college. And now, some, as you mentioned, some colleges might have different policies on what they transfer in or accept. But we've been very creative to look at other ways of awarding that 203 for us, and that, using the American Council of Education's, guide for evaluating credit.
Yes.
And you've been flexible to look
Yes,
at the
we
state.
switched. We had done the Apple exam for years and the American College, what was the E? I know it's ACE, but I can't.
American Council of Education, yeah.
American Council of Education, they only accepted the stamp. And so we made this, which actually turned out to be a great switch anyway. We're really glad we did it. It was a great test. So it
Good.
was a good switch for us too. So just like it's been a back and forth, but we've been able, and now our big thing that we're kind of stuck on is how do we get the student scores to the college?
Sure.
But those things are going to happen when you have a new program and when you're trying new things. And so we'll get it all figured out this year, work all the kinks out, and then by next year we'll be slapping those seals on, no problem.
Right. That's right. And yeah, and I think it takes both of us to be willing to talk it out, and look for a
Yes.
solution. So,
And I mean, it has moved pretty fast this year. Like we talked
mhm.
last year, we finally figured out a plan and we've been able to kind of implement that. So I feel like once we knew exactly what we were doing, it was much easier to move forward and getting it all put into place.
Sure.
Approximately how many students benefit from these KC language credits every year through your dual credit program?
Yeah, so we have about I was looking at an average of the last 5 years. We probably have about 300 students every year from we don't have dual credit Spanish at every high school in our
No.
district, we don't have it at
And
all.
it would help for people to know also that we are a rural Southern Illinois district. So even though there are what maybe 4 or 5 districts that are doing dual credit, we are very small districts.
Yes,
So we don't have huge enrollments, even
right.
building to building in those classes. But 300 kids that get 8
Mhm.
semester hours, I mean, in real money, in real dollars, that's a big
Yeah.
deal. And so, and this year we had 5 at my school qualify for the state seal of biliteracy. So that's, these 5 kids that are going to even get another little,
Mm.
free tuition boost. So
Yeah, sure.
it's awesome. So my last question, and then I'll let you get about your day. I'm so grateful that you came by to talk.
Oh,
Are there any bits of wisdom or advice that you would have, as a teacher comes to you and says, "Hey, I'm looking to connect with KC," or if another community college says, "Hey, I heard that you put this video out there. I know there are other area
mhm.
colleges." Uh, how could they use something like this to enrich their program, this kind of partnership?
So, and we're talking about just any dual credit offering.
Yes.
I would, I feel like the schools don't necessarily always know what options we have. To have a dual credit offering, it has to have an equivalent course at the community college.
Okay.
And so I feel like there are times when there's probably some really good quality courses being taught at the high school level, but they're maybe not sure if that's an equivalent. So not just your general English Comp 1 or Comp 2,
Right.
maybe some of these
But even
extra
language, I
levels.
guess, if the
Yeah.
community college doesn't offer language, then that would be something they wouldn't be able to do dual credit. That's a great.
Yeah, that is, and we have an example of that right now where, we don't offer, excuse me, world history, but we have a really good instructor at a high school that's really super excited about it. So now we're considering, offering creating the world history course.
Yes.
So I think it goes both ways. I think, researching what your needs are as a school, what your, students are wanting, and then really being open and collaborative with your community college. I know in our situation we have one person that's kind of our liaison where those conversations start,
Yes.
and so finding that right person. But sometimes it's just the academic dean or the instructional VP that's over that. Starting there with what steps do we take? This is what we'd like to do, and then, it's amazing how quickly that can happen. And we have to check off all the things, obviously,
Yes.
credentials, and we have to approve the syllabus and
And
all of
we
those
do in
things. But
Illinois, we do have to have a
yeah,
master's
but
degree.
those things also are collaborative, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank
For the transfer level courses.
they have to have a yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that you stopped by today to meet with us and have a great rest of your afternoon.
All
And
right.
we're gonna bring on all kinds of people to do dual credit.
That sounds wonderful. And Carrie, thank you so much for all you do for our
You're so
for our
welcome.
yeah. You have a
I
good
love
night.
working with you. Have a good night.
Bye.
So, as you can see, it is super easy to not super easy, but it is super possible to do a dual credit, like to start a program, to collaborate with your community college, to if they're already doing dual credit, to go in and sit down with them and just say, hey, can we trust our teachers. We believe that they're educated professionals. If they say that this is not the best way to teach high school, when, especially thinking like whatever resource they're using in the college Spanish 101 class, having to bring that down to your high school Spanish class or, whatever dual credit it might be, just to have that ability to make your own decisions as a teacher. But I can't recommend enough cultivating some kind of a program where you have dual credit offerings and then looking into with your college, how can we go beyond that and honor? So our dual credit, you may have picked this up already, but our dual credit students, they takes 4 years of Spanish. If they take 3, they get credit for Spanish 101. So some kids that start as a sophomore would only get 4 hours credit. As a senior, then they take Spanish 102. Um, it's nice to have them categorized as 101 and 102 because they're getting 4 semester hours credit for classes that the goals are easy to set, that this is going to be, they're going to get to intermediate low proficiency. Because everybody, by the end of 4 years, I mean, it's rare that I have anybody that isn't at least intermediate low in their receptive language, and they might be on that borderline of novice high, intermediate low in their productive language, but usually by the end of 4 years, that's very rare that a student would be, not quite at the intermediate low. And that's what they're all getting credit for. So basically it's seat time of being there 4 years, but also I know that they're getting to that level in 4 years. Then those kids that go above and beyond, for some of them, it's the global seal of biliteracy, intermediate 4 on Apple or the 5 on the stamp. Just a score of 5 on the stamp is intermediate mid, and those are new. It has to be, it can't be intermediate 3 on Apple. It has to be intermediate 4. So the mid high border. And then it's intermediate mid, the 5 on the stamp. Those kids get credit, don't get credit, but they get certified through Global Seal of Biliteracy, which is actually recognized by colleges. So a lot of times their stamp tests with the Global Seal of Biliteracy will help them place out of, instead of having to take CLEP. Then also, they have this option if they get the State Seal of Biliteracy at intermediate high, they're getting 4 more hours from the community college. So, I mean, they can come away with 12 semester hours for their 4 Spanish high school years. And I just think that that is wonderful. And I think that it's great that we've honored these biliteracy kids by saying, hey, we'll give you more credit since you really proved your proficiency here. So I just invite you, if you have questions for me, if you want me to ask questions of Kelly, I am sure that she would reply back to us. Just if you have any logistical questions that I can't answer myself, I can, collaborate with Kelly to try and find out any answers you might need. But remembering that we are a small, in a bigger city where the community colleges are bigger, I don't know if it's quite as easy to connect one to one. I mean, they may have a lot of people, a whole lot of cooks in the kitchen, so it may not be as easy to collaborate as Kelly and I have made it look for you right now. So I do understand my privilege there in that, I have direct line of contact to my community college, but I wish you all the best of luck as you work on setting up some kind of a dual credit. For us, it's really nice because AP, they have to pay for their AP test at the end. Not everybody gets credit when it goes through AP. So having dual credit where they do get some credit for courses that they definitely have achieved that much, like that is nice. It's comforting to me to think I'm not just giving everybody credit. It's people who have really done the time and have reached that intermediate low proficiency. Um, I wish you the best of luck, and I'm here to answer any questions you have. Thank you. Have a really great day.